Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Carmen Bryant. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Overcoming Narcissist Abuse. Thank you so much for joining me. To all of you that are new to my channel, I am Dr. Carmen Bryant. There we go. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for finding something valuable that I have to say concerning narcissist abuse. And, as we make these videos and as we talk about it and as I have an opportunity to engage with you, you learn more and more every day. I learn a lot from people because I deal with people on a daily basis dealing with narcissist abuse. It seems like my caseload is filled with those that have been abused by someone that has narcissistic personality disorder. And it is domestic violence, just to go ahead and clarify. So today I wanted to talk about parallel parenting. A lot of you are like, okay, let's talk about this, because many of you asked the question, how do you co-parent with a narcissist? There's no such thing as co-parenting with a narcissist. It's co-parenting versus counter-parenting. They do nothing to co-parent with you. Even parallel parenting, and I'm going to go in detail with it, but I want to give you some description first. First of all, you got to understand that a narcissist is a narcissist, is a narcissist, is a narcissist. Understand. I don't care what professional it is, and parallel parenting also includes the fact that you may be dealing with parents that have narcissistic personality disorder or borderline personality disorder, and they're very complex, complicated individuals where you can't interact with them. And so, a plan is better than no plan whatsoever. And so let me switch over to my military days. We have what's called MOP 4 gear. So I'm going to read this to you because this is how we learned in the military. MOP 4 gear. What is MOP 4 gear? Some of you guys that were military, Army especially, you know what I'm talking about. MOP 4 or MOP is called Mission Oriented Protective Posture, pronounced MOP. And what it is it's a military protective gear used in the event that military personnel are exposed to any kind of toxic environment, like during a chemical, biological, radiological, or nuclear strike. Now, understand this, being in the military, being a senior leader and having to teach this and understanding this, MOP 4, you have to understand that the military always trains soldiers to make sure that we have a strategic plan to follow in the event of any kind of emergency, contingency plans, in some type of plan like MOP 4, when you have these things happen, you're going into war, things are happening, you have a plan to follow. First of all, to decrease mass hysteria and anxiety, and because you have a pattern or a strategic plan to follow that keeps everyone calm enough to follow these and give them hopes of survival. One thing that I can tell you about MOP 4 is that if the soldiers are, and we knew this as senior leaders, that if a soldier or if we as soldiers are close enough to a nuclear attack, 9 times in 10, you're not going to survive it with your MOP gear on. The further away, it might provide some level of protection, especially like with radiological attacks. It will provide some form of protection, but some form of protection is better than no protection whatsoever. And then, of course, there are side effects as, soldiers come out of the military, retire, and then a lot of times there are side effects to being exposed to these type of chemicals. So nothing is 100% safe proof. Everything is not 100%, but it gives you some type of strategic plan to follow in order to protect during a wartime situation where the enemy will use anything, to kill off military soldiers. Now, having said that, understand that when you're dealing with a narcissist, at least when you have children by the narcissist, some type of plan is better than no plan at all. And so far, what I found is that parallel parenting is a good plan, but you have to remember you're dealing with a narcissist, and you have to remember that narcissists come on different levels, different scales. You have the lower narcissist to mid-range to higher or greater narcissist to high grade. You have narcissists that also have other disorders along with narcissistic personality disorders, such as antisocial personality disorder. Those are ones that have, which was formerly known as psychopathy or psychopathic disorders, or sociopath or psychopaths, to include narcissists. So that's dangerous. You have those that are on the lower scale that are malignant. All of them are malignant, but malignant also meaning to add the antisocial. You have those that have, along with, you may have them on an autistic spectrum. You may have those that may have psychotic disorders or along with bipolar or borderline personality. So you have narcissists. All narcissists are not the same, and each one of them function very differently. For some, that parallel parenting might put things in place, because you have to remember it's not about the kids. For you, it's about the children, and for the court systems, therapists, child protective services, whoever you get involved, it's about the children and what's best for the children. We know that a narcissist looks at the children as another means of supply, but usually you are the focus, and anything they can do to hurt you, they'll use anything that is close to you to hurt you in any way possible. For some people, parallel parenting might work very well, and for some people it's not, because you know that that individual, for example, could have another disorder, falls under paraphilic disorders, which includes hold on, let me think of the word, which includes come on, child molesters. I'll think of the word. I had the word right before I came on the camera. You're dealing with pedophiles, those that are focused on children, those that have a sexual urge toward children, and a narcissist sees children as an extension of themselves. Not all narcissists have sex with their children, and a lot of them do. A lot of them do, a lot of them don't. So you kind of balance it out. A lot of the people that I have dealt with have had experiences themselves with being molested by their own parents, mother and father alike. You have children that have been molested by their parents, mother and father alike. So you never underestimate the dangers of a person that has narcissistic personality disorder. Now, of course, many people are like, no, I just don't believe that. You put a good plan in place. There is no plan, just like MOP 4. Remember, in the military, there's no plan that's perfect with a narcissist. I can tell you that right now. And a lot of things within the parallel parenting, you have to remember that if they can get the kid away from you, because parallel parenting means that you totally, and they don't say it, but really they're implementing gray rocking, meaning that we have no communication whatsoever because we cannot talk. It is too high conflict. We don't get along. I hate you, you hate me, and there is no communication between the two of us. The best thing for the narcissist is to be able to get what is so close to you away from you. So when it comes to visitations, to separate you totally, and you are separate and they're separate, it gives them plenty opportunity to groom that child. They're grooming the child anyway, but grooming the child or parental alienation. That's what a lot of people are running into, is when they have the children over a certain length of time, they have the opportunity to groom and manipulate that child and to alienate them from the parent that's the protective parent. And you'll notice that every time the child comes back, especially doing parallel parenting, every time the child comes back, there's some type of, a lot of you notice there's some type of something going on with the child. They don't want anything to do with you, or because they've been told something. And see, the narcissist does not follow rules very well. Doesn't matter what the paperwork says. It looks like they're going to follow the paperwork, of course, because you have all these eyes on them. But once they have the child in their possession, they work very hard. Everything that they do is strategic. Everything that a narcissist does, there's no such thing as an accident. Everything is intentional. There's no such thing as an accident. Even if they say, my apologies, I didn't realize that, or, oh, that's my mistake, I'll correct it. There's no mistake. Everything is intentional. Everything a narcissist does is intentional. You guys remember that. Say it with me. Everything that a narcissist does is intentional. There is no oops and there is no mistakes. They think it out and it's very strategic, specifically with the thing that you love the most. And for most people, when they have children, it's your children that are closest to your heart, that you'll fight for, you'll die for, you'll do whatever. They know how close you are or how much you have love for that child. So your child becomes the object in the game of chess. And so in parallel parenting, that's a perfect opportunity, because you two are focused on the children. That's what the plan is. You focus on the child and what's best for the child. And what happens is you write down. Let me just read through it and we'll talk about it as I'm reading through it. So where did I go? I went to Healthline. So you put in a plan. Let me go back to another one. Because you can include, so it can include utilizing a third-party facilitator. So that means that you can use a church member, you can use a court facilitator, you can use a child, I can't think of what I forgot what the not a rehabilitation, reconciliation counselor and all that. A lot of them really don't understand the behaviors of narcissists. They don't understand that behavior. And I'm just talking about narcissists. I'm not talking about borderline. I'm talking about narcissists because that's what the channel is about. A lot of them really are not focused on that. They keep themselves emotionally out of that, and they focus on the well-being of the child. And they don't take in consideration that you're dealing with a narcissist, and a narcissist finds every opportunity to get a hold of that child so that they can mold them. They're not going to follow, like I said, two separate households. You raise the children, this is, we write stuff down, and there's two separate households. When they visit, you do the best that you can in your parenting, and I'm going to do the best I can in my parenting. I have no right to involve myself, and you have no right to involve yourself. Well, that's perfect opportunity for them to manipulate and say whatever they want to do. And the one thing they're going to do is manipulate and groom the child. Now, sometimes they're grooming the child for the purpose of other activities, and sometimes they're grooming the child, and you heard of the parental alienation. They're grooming the child to get them, their whole focus is to get them away from you. They'll come up with all sorts of things as to how bad of a parent you are. They engage conversation with young children. It's easy to engage them in conversation and persuade them that something is what it's not. They put words in their mouth, they project on the child, and then they call CPS. Then they're concerned about the child, and the child did this. You have to be prepared for this type of stuff, because this is what happens with a narcissist. And most of you guys, oh my gosh, when is it going to stop? It'll stop when the child gets I can't even say it'll stop then, but it takes time for the child to mature and get old enough, and you have to be the best parent that you can possibly be to teach your child, and that's another series. We'll talk about that on another episode. Utilizing third party, meaning you may have to set up a plan where the only way that you meet face to face is that you have a facilitator around. Sometimes they're on their best behaviors with the facilitators, and sometimes they're not. Sometimes they can't control themselves, and that's like a lot of times the lower narcissists. Therapists, child care specialist, social worker, or even a member of the church, someone to be that third person to kind of facilitate the conversations between the two of you. A lot of times in parallel parenting, what you do is you, you construct times like specific public places of exchange. If someone else is going to bring the kids to the person and pick the kids up, so that you don't have to have contact with the other parent at all. No conversation. We don't have to talk about anything. Reducing the kind of notion that will be flexible. So deviating from the plan breeds conflict. You already know what they're going to do. So a lot of you, you got to remember it's not a perfect plan. And whatever you put in place, they're going to do things particularly because they want you to react. So they're going to do things on purpose to deviate away from the plan that you have created. Number one, when you're creating the plan, it's almost like you're getting too much control, even though you know that this might be a mutual agreement how we do this. But in their minds, you're too happy and you're too satisfied, so you got too much control. Remember how a narcissist thinks. There's another thing they were suggesting is to share your calendar. Share your calendar and be very specific in your calendar when it comes to the events for the children only. But you have to remember that the children are just a coy or a decoy to get to you. So to share your calendar and to share dates and everything, which is good to a certain extent. This is what the child is doing. This is the day that I'm doing this with the child. And so you two are sharing the calendar. I promise you that they're probably not going to share their calendar, or they're going to make it difficult, or they're going to make the communication difficult. But really what they're doing is they're trying to watch you. So they'll come up with things like, well, I need to know this and that. They'll come up with all sorts of things, but you have to remember they begin to focus on you. So if they can't have their way and they've got the child, but I have no control over you. So they'll use the child in order to get control over you, to see what's on your calendar concerning you. Everything will start focusing on you. So just be prepared. In not all cases, but what I'm saying is what I'm saying. So let's see. Communications. So the whole point is to limit the communication between you and the narcissist. Gray rocking, remember? So that means that if they have an event going on, you two can choose, okay, you go to this event, I go to this event. If you show up at this time, then I'll show up at this time, so that you and I don't have to cross each other. We don't have to be around each other. Let's see, if we do messages, we just do messages in a notebook, which is a mess, or only communicate through email or letter. That's it. There's no emotions involved in it. Let's see. It's a shared parenting notebook, which is good. Don't get me wrong, it's good, but just be prepared. Don't get your hopes up so high. Just get prepared, because you already know you're dealing with a narcissist. Let's see, what else? Running households independently. That's what I was just talking about. Parallel parenting means each parent is in charge of making decisions while the child is under their care. So you already know that when you two were together and parenting, something like parenting together, but living in the same household, they know your habits and they know what you like and what you don't like. They know what you know, if you guys, you may have the health conscious parents where they don't believe in a lot of sugary stuff. The child may have ADHD, so you're very strict on making sure that the child doesn't have candy, sweets, sugars, this kind of stuff, maybe a diabetic child, whatever. You can guarantee when they get to the other parent's house, they're going to dare you to say something, because they'll do everything that you do not do in your household. So they'll purposely do things with the child that they know will strike a chord, because they want you to react. They want you to say something. You guys already know it. You're dealing with a narcissist. Let's see. So what does it say here? So do not send instructions or push the other parent to change their style of parenting. Unless the child is in imminent danger, realize that your way is not the only way to parent, but you're dealing with a narcissist. So you know that the things that they do oftentimes is not healthy or productive for the child. It looks all wonderful in the face of, of course, it looks great. Remember, you're dealing with covert narcissists. So it looks good in front of everybody. They do all this. But you know the type of person that you're dealing with, and you know that what they're doing is they're grooming. A lot of times what they're doing is they're working on parental alienation. A lot of times what they're doing is they're instituting they don't talk directly to the child when they're talking against you. Sometimes they may talk to the person that's in the room. Say that they're remarried. What they'll do is they'll talk to the spouse on everything negative about you, but they make sure they're in hearing range of the child. Well, this sends mixed emotions. Immediately, they can be angry at them for attacking their mother, or they can be angry at the mother for attacking the father, or you're saying things and the child is starting to, your back is crooked. Well, he only does this and this all the time, and so he never has time, or she never has time to spend, and the only time that he or she has the opportunity to do this, and and look at her or look at him, back is crooked because they're not feeding him enough of this, so we need to buy a back brace. So the child's coming back a hunchback and telling you, drooling at the mouth, telling you that they're sickly, and you're thinking like, where'd you get this from? And in your mind you're thinking like, stop telling them that, stop making them feel like there's something wrong with them. But how can you communicate that? Because the more you communicate that, the more you're letting that narcissist know that what they're doing is working. So you see what I mean? You have to implement something, correct? Parallel parenting seems like the best thing to implement, but you got to remember what they're doing and why, and how can you catch them? How, unless you have a good support system, a domestic violence advocate, you have a therapist that understands narcissist abuse. You have a lawyer that's educated on high conflict or dysfunctional or personality disordered individuals. We have one here in Washington that actually has it on his website. The problem is that most people can't afford him, but he bad because he understands how these people function in a court system, and so he knows how to maneuver. But for most, the average person, you can't afford a $25,000 retainer fee in order to hold a lawyer at that level that understand what's going on. So the average person that you're dealing with doesn't understand, and most of you are like, so what am I supposed to do? You're giving me information, but you're not giving me solutions. The problem is that researchers are still studying this. We're still trying to that's the purpose of getting this information out there, getting this information out here to making lawyers, counselors, hopefully we can make this a mandated class for continuing education, because regardless whether or not you want to work with disordered people or not, you're going to come across victims or survivors of this type of abuse, and you have to understand how they manipulate. You have to understand, what goes on in the court system. The judges have to be educated. The lawyers need to be educated, because this is happening. And most people, parallel parenting, okay, it's a good implementation, just like MOP 4 in the military, good implementation. And at least you can keep up. See, it'll allow you to keep up. But the thing about that, let's switch over this. So in Healthline, it says, determine how you're going to split time with the kids. Okay, you're writing it down on paper, very detailed about the holidays, vacations, and even birthdays. Step 2, determine the start and end of time of each visit. You already know, because I've seen it too many times, you have a start and a stop. They're going to be late, they're going to be super early, and then they want to argue, so I can't see my baby, I just came early, or I'm dropping the baby off late. You already know they're going to cross the lines. They do it all the time. Document it. Establish the location for pickups and drop-off. The whole thing is they want to get you. And you can't be so thirsty that you're trying to get to them, or you want to make sure that they know that you're doing well, and you bring your boo. Don't bring your boo around. If they do it, let them do it. Don't bring your boo around. Don't do anything to incite. If you're married again, then so be it. But don't do things on purpose to incite the other person, because a lot of times you lose focus of the kids and you're trying to fight this narcissist back. That's what they're trying to stop. You can't fight fire with fire, y'all. You can't. You got to remember what you're dealing with. You're dealing with a narcissist. They're not normal people. A lot of these parenting plans or systems that were put in place, they're put in place with the thought process of, you're dealing with two people that are pretty much normal. They just don't like each other or hate each other. Now, true enough, on one of these articles, they implemented the fact that when you're dealing with people that have narcissists or borderline personality disorder, so they added it in there. But the extent at which you have to deal with these individuals, the extent of how disordered these individuals are and the stuff that they do is not really addressed, because, of course, the children are the main focus, the betterment or the protection of the kids. And you guys know as well as I know, yes, I think that a child needs a mother and a father. There's something that both individuals bring to the child, absolutely. But when you have a disordered individual, it's almost like you have to pick out the pieces of what's going to help the child, and then everything else you have to move aside. But how can you do that when both parents have a right to the child? Let's see. Discuss how to handle cancellations. I'm just telling you guys to prepare yourself. Don't do this in your, when you're doing this, don't do it with the mindset this is going to be perfect and it's going to work and it's supposed to work the way it's supposed to work. You know what you're dealing with. You know what you're dealing with. Let's see. Create a plan to handle disputes. When parallel parenting plan works, disputes are kept at a minimum, but no plan is perfect, especially when one parent is difficult. If you foresee problems, ask the court to appoint a mediator, sometimes referred to as a parenting coordinator. Instead of arguing back and forth, you can schedule a meeting with your mediator to work through conflict. Absolutely. And you have to learn to shut up. Be quiet. Give the information to the mediator, whoever you have representing you, and just be prepared that a lot of times they use the court systems as their playground and as their stage to act a fool, but they use that to do whatever they're going to do and act a fool and talk about you and whatever. Let them do whatever they're going to do. Let them show their hand. When you don't react and you have very minimum to say, a lot of times they can't handle it and they go overboard because they can't get a reaction from you. And then a lot of times people see, and it's sad because people don't want to get involved, but a lot of times you see it's not even about the kid. It's all about you. Let them show their butts. Let them show their naked behinds. And just be quiet. I know it's hard because you are accustomed to defending yourself. You are accustomed to putting up your dukes. You are accustomed to fighting back. That's what we're accustomed to doing, but they're accustomed to knowing that you do that. They know that's what you're going to do, so you have to do something opposite than what they're expecting you to do. And that is usually what the problem is, because it's instilled in us to defend yourself, defend myself, speak up for myself, correct you, and sometimes what you have to learn to do is be quiet, because the quieter you are, the more agitated they get, because you're not acting the way that you used to act. They don't see you as ever changing. And so when you get in the court system, you have to sometimes just give the information to the lawyer, to the mediator, leave it at that, let them act a fool. In certain states, I don't know about every state. I know here in Washington state, they have what's called, the protection for abusive litigation. That's something that that's something that they're implementing now, to make sure that, the parental, the parent that has a child, or that you are not abused, that they continue to abuse you within the court setting. And you may ask a legal representative or would they have a legal advocate or a domestic violence advocate that works in this field all the time. They see it all the time, especially the seasoned one. They see it all the time and just say, just help me be protected from being abused in the court system. Same thing I told my lawyer, and she's well versed, so she understands how to navigate, and to be equal and to be fair, because it's about the laws, but to make sure that, that I don't get abused in the court system, because that's what they do. They abuse the court system. especially for those of you that don't have money to support yourself in the court system. And a lot of times you have those that have money that are able to afford legal representation or lawyers when you can't, so to find a good, and I told someone the other day, a lot of times you may pick up the phone and look for a legal advocate, and, you have to listen to what they're talking about, see if they understand what you're talking about. And if you're not satisfied, go look for another one. Don't stop at the first one that you get in contact with. Well, let me call another agency. Let me call another agency to see. Now, some of you guys are looking for something in particular, and you may not find that something in particular. What you're looking for is one that understands what you're going through. And a lot of you guys want to just burn them and blow them up. But really what you're wanting to do is you want equal. If you want child support, then get the child support. Your focus might be burning by fire, killing by firing squad. But in actuality, you just want the child support. Anything else aside, I just want the child support. You see what I mean? And a lot of you guys let the lawyers, mediate on your behalf. Let the lawyers or the legal advocates mediate on your behalf because you're full of emotions. You're full of hurt. You want to get them back whatever way you possibly can, but you're not going to win. You're not going to win the war if you're going to lose the battle. And if they win the battle, so what? You're trying to win the war. Your whole purpose, get this is what I want. This is what I need. Don't worry about anything else. But no, some of you guys are like, charge, pull out this samurai swords and chop their heads off. Yeah, we'll work on that. Let's see, what else? So I think that's really it. I just want to have a little conversation with you guys about, someone asked me what did I thought about parallel parenting, and I just wanted to let you go. I want you to know that there is no such thing as perfect parenting plan, or a perfect plan concerning a narcissist. There's nothing. MOP 4, think about it. In MOP 4 in the military, it is a strategic plan to keep especially the mass hysteria down and to give soldiers. That's why, you can calmly implement this, how scared you are. There's a plan to implement, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to protect you from everything. It's not. You're dealing with a narcissist. You're dealing with a dysfunctional person. A lot of times when programs are set up, they're set up with the mindset that these two people are able to follow rules, and you just don't have to be around each other. And but with a narcissist, it's never like that. It's like a big child having a temper tantrum, a big child that can't get his way. And when things seem to work and you're satisfied and, okay, this is working, they're upset at the fact that you're satisfied. They're upset at the fact that you're at peace, and they have to disrupt your peace. And whatever way they can disrupt your peace, and especially dealing with your children, dealing with your children is a very sensitive topic to most parents. And when you mess with our kids, we want to fight, but they know that. So the thing that they come after is the thing that you care about the most, whatever is precious to you. And those that don't have children, whatever is precious to you, if it's your dogs, it's your cats, your animals, or whatever that is precious to you, that is dear to your heart, is what they come after, is what they try to destroy. A narcissist is going to be a narcissist. They're never going to change. And the older that they get, the worse that they get. So hopefully this has helped you today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I just want to give you guys a heads up. This is a lot of stuff that I'm doing at one time. I have my web designers that are creating my web page, and I'm working on a course. So I'm working on one of my courses, but at the same time, I'm writing my second book. So I'm on my second book. I can't say I'm at the beginning of the book. I'm kind of like halfway after the beginning of the book. It's pretty good information too. I'm not going to tell you what it's about, but it's pretty good information. It's giving you some insight about domestic violence and narcissist abuse. So I am working on my book. So I will let you guys know when I'm finished with the book and I send it to the editor and the publisher. So you guys stay tuned. But in the meantime, I do have a book. It's called Unmasking, the Illusion of Perfection. And it is, you can get it from Barnes & Noble. For those of you overseas, Westbow Press, or you can get it on Amazon. So you can get it Kindle, ebook, wherever you want to get the book. You can join me on YouTube, which is Dr. Carmen Bryant at Overcoming Narcissist. Well, it's Dr. Carmen Bryant, Overcoming Narcissist Abuse. You can find me on Facebook, same one, Overcoming Narcissist Abuse, and on Instagram. Periscope is going away, so I'm under Dr. Carmen Bryant on the Periscope. Is going away this month, but you can find me on Twitter. And on Sundays, I come on live at 8 o'clock on Clubhouse and YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. So you guys can find me there. I also have a podcast, which I haven't been keeping up lately because I'm on all the other medias. So it's kind of hard sometimes to go back and forth. But I'm also on Podbean. If you go check out Podbean under Overcoming Narcissist Abuse, you'll find me there as well. And also, those of you that are seeking coaching services, if you are in the state of Washington, that's the only way that I can provide you with counseling. But my books are full. So if you want coaching and you're on the outside of the state of Washington, you're welcome to contact me. I have slots that are for counseling and slots for coaching. And mine fill up very, very fast. So once you call me, well, not call me, once you email me, I will provide you with the cost of services that I provide. I'm still providing the discounted rate, but you got to jump on it quick, because this year is going to be the last year that I offer the discounted rates as I get the other programs up and running. And so you guys jump on it. Dr. Carmen Bryant at Outlook.com. Those of you that are looking for counseling. Some of you need counseling, not coaching. You need counseling. So a lot of emails that I get is not coaching. It's counseling. You need counseling. Go to BetterHelp.com/Dr. Carmen, and you can get a 10% discount. It's a nominal fee. If you tell them they're having you're having some financial difficulties, they can give you a grant, which will discount the rate a little bit, so you don't have to pay as much. It's a vetted source, so I've heard great stuff about BetterHelp, and a lot of those counselors do understand narcissist abuse. And so when you vet the counselors, ask them questions. You have the right to ask them questions. And you tell them, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a counselor that understands domestic violence, post-traumatic stress, parental alienation, the effects after psychological abuse, because some of them are not physical abusers, psychological abuse. And then you can throw it out there. Do you understand what narcissist abuse is? It's domestic violence. I need someone that's a domestic violence counselor. But do you understand how a person with narcissistic personality disorder functions? Do you understand how they abuse? You don't look like you need to be a narcissist specialist. Really, there is no such thing. We created that because we specialize in it, because that's our focus. But when you talk to a counselor, usually they don't, unless they tell you that they specialize in it, and really what we're specializing in is domestic violence. That's what we specialize in. But you ask the questions. But BetterHelp.com, BetterHelp.com/Dr. Carmen. Click the link, and then you can vet counselors. Ask questions. Some of you guys need counseling. Some of you guys are sending me emails, and it's not coaching that you're needing. You're needing counseling. Then come back and get coaching. And then also, please go check out my mother's YouTube channel. Her name is Helen Sadler, Destiny Helper. You guys go check her out. She provides information about narcissistic personality disorder and the abuse from a biblical and spiritual perspective. So a lot of your questions concerning, even if you're not a believer of Jesus Christ, she does lay out to you and give you an understanding of the spiritual aspect behind narcissistic personality disorder. That's why I love working with her, because I'll give you the professional side, and I'll talk about the experiential side, what I've witnessed, things that I've been through, things that I've seen. And then she also provides you, as a presiding prelate or a senior pastor of many of our church and then of many other ministries, national and international, imagine the type of clientele that she has. People that I can only imagine, I don't even know, that's personal, but I can only imagine that the type of people at this level of professions or professionalism that come to her to assist her with this type of abuse. And so she's a very powerful woman. You can find her on Clubhouse on Mondays at 7:45, where she has various topics with I'm along with her. But various topics that she discusses. On Wednesdays, my big sister is Kathy Gibson on Periscope. Kathy Gibson, My Life is Intentional, and they're also on Clubhouse on Wednesdays. I come on live on Sundays at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and usually what I do is I go live so you can see me, and I'm on Clubhouse, and then after I'm finished doing my lecture, my teaching, then I usually allow the audience to ask me questions for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then I switch over to Clubhouse, where you can join me on Clubhouse and talk to me and ask me questions. So hopefully this has helped. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys, and keep watching, because I'm working on my second book. You guys asked me, so I'm working on my second book. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys. All the love to you, and go be great.